I'm gonna make a video on this at all. I wasn't gonna make a video on this. I'm on a break. Right? If you're from my community post, you should know I'm on my break. So there wasn't gonna be any videos from me for at least like 4 or 5 weeks or so. Just a little bit of a break here and there, right? But it's Champions League, and Champions League is different. Champions League is one of those. Champions League is one of those moments where I just have to talk about it a little bit. I just have to talk about it a tiny little bit. So let's talk about it a tiny little bit. Let's start with the Leipzig game because I've got a lot to say about the Leipzig game. All right. So first of all, the Leipzig game. Leipzig versus Liverpool. Liverpool have been poor. They have been poor for quite a bit. All right. Their form has been outrageously bad for a club of Liverpool's size. And Leipzig, they've been relatively good, all right? You know, they've been, honestly, I don't know if it's still the case, because I know Wolfsburg have had like a very impressive run of like clean sheets, but Leipzig, I think, may still have the best defense in the Bundesliga. Obviously, our defense, let's not even talk about that. But Leipzig, I think, may still have the best defense in the Bundesliga. And you could see part of that in this game where, like, they didn't really concede chances. Yes, Liverpool did have chances, but Leipzig really didn't concede many like clear-cut opportunities. But to give the game away the way they did, right? It's not even Liverpool probably deserved to win, but honestly, if this was like a 0-0 draw, I think it would have been fair as well. But for Leipzig to like throw the game away the way they did, in the manner that they did, with like oops, 2 individual errors. The first one, who was it, Sabitzer, and the second one, Mukiele. Like how do you just do 2 individual errors like that? Bottless. There is a thing to be said, and I can't lie. I was expecting Leipzig to win. My prediction before this game started was a 3-0 victory, and that was my prediction, that Leipzig would win 3-0. Because I looked at how they've been playing, I looked at how Liverpool was playing, and I looked at the fact that Liverpool is kind of working with like a makeshift centre back. You've got Cabot, come on now, and you've got Henderson, who, you know, even as a makeshift centre back isn't that bad, but it's still a makeshift centre back. And for me, I looked at that and I was like, okay, Leipzig, they're gonna play with Poulsen up front. You know, he's kind of like this physical presence. He's gonna be the focal point. And Liverpool will focus on stopping him because, you know, he's the striker. And then you have the two wing backs in Mukiele and in Angelino, causing the most damage. They didn't do that. They played all mob. Then I'm like, really now, okay, this is not gonna go well. And it didn't go well. They didn't really create anything. They've had Leipzig had 2 chances, one with one in I think the first half, and then one very late on with Huang He-chan in the late second half. Actually, Huang He-chan, he moved from Salzburg to Leipzig, and I expected him to do great. He's not played. He's played like 1 game in a DFB Pokal, I think, like very early, round 1. I think he played like 60-70 minutes in like the first DFB Pokal game, which was his debut. And then I think he was either injured, or I think he had COVID. I think it might have been that, and he was just out with that like for like months, for like 2-3 months. So he hasn't really played at all. He literally just came back. So, you know, you could see, you know, he had a chance, and he should have maybe scored that, but he didn't. So you really gotta like question, like, Leipzig, they should have started with Poulsen. If you ask me, they should have started with Poulsen. When I saw that lineup, I thought, okay, they're throwing us away, and to me, that just shows naivety with Nagelsmann. And I thought like last season was kind of naivety as well, but I'd figure, you know, he's gonna learn from it. No, he wasn't, and that's the issue. You gotta look at, you know, if you're playing against a makeshift centre back pairing, I know there's an argument to be made. You should play a striker that kind of like drops deeper, significantly deeper, in the likes of like someone like Olmo, who's not really a striker but is also a striker in that sense. You play him up front, and he then, you know, kind of drops off and kind of like causes havoc in the centre backs. But I feel like if you play in the way like Leipzig are, which is like there's this 3-4-3, right, or this 3-2-3. whatever. All right, 3-5-2. You really have to. You really have to have a focal point in attack, because especially against the makeshift defense, makeshift center pack pairing, you really have to have a focal point in attack so that your two wing backs can basically just cause havoc, be in open space. And we saw that a lot in like the first half, with Angelino. Angelino was on the ball constantly. He was constantly getting the ball. He was constantly crossing the ball, but there was no real danger in the box, and that's the issue. There was no real danger in the box. I felt like I was quite furious with how he was playing, because every time he got the ball, instead of looking forward, he looked backwards, and I feel like that's kind of what caused Leipzig to lose this game. Them going backwards at all times. Them trying to let's build up slower instead of okay, let's go quickly. We can move the ball quickly from, we win the ball in midfield, let's move it quickly forward. Now they were like, no, we win the ball, let's take things slower, let's pass it back, let's pass it to the side, let's pass it to the center, let's pass it back to the side, let's try and get a crossing. Oh, the cross didn't work. Oh well, we have to win the ball back. Liverpool was really good. Liverpool, they essentially said, okay, you want to press us in the center? We're not gonna play it in the center. You want to press and win the ball in the center? We're gonna play it and spray it out wide. And out wide they sprayed it and played it. And I didn't feel Liverpool creating much. I'll be honest. I didn't feel Liverpool creating much, but they got 2 goals. And ultimately, it worked for them because Liverpool didn't really concede chances as well. Now I will say this: Upamecano on the ball, I thought he was poor. Off the ball, I thought he was probably Leipzig's best player, if I'm being completely honest. On the ball, his passing was just so bad. So bad. But everything else, defending wise, heading, I would say he's the only Leipzig player where I could say, what, they were quite good. They were very, very solid. The amount of chances that Leipzig had, but the amount of times Upamecano stopped them, I thought was great. Oh. But I also, what was my fault? I also didn't think he was that great on the ball, if I'm being completely honest. So Leipzig 2-0 down against a very poor Liverpool side, I have to say. If this was Liverpool, say 2 years ago, this would have been a 4-0 victory. This would have been a 4-0, disaster class for Leipzig, and Liverpool would have won this game 4-0 in the first leg. But that was not the case. It's not that same Liverpool. Call it injuries. I think it has to do with the hunger, if I'm being completely honest. Because for me, again, I watch a lot of Liverpool. I watch most teams, honestly, in the Premier League. I watch most teams in most out of the top 5 leagues, if I'm being completely honest. But Liverpool, even last season, they weren't that great. They were great at the beginning of last season, and then once they were getting closer, once the lockdown, was it lockdown period or was it just a break? It was whatever. Once that period came back and football came back, they didn't look the same. They got a win here and there, but they got losses here and there. And once they won the title, they just completely collapsed. So for me, it's actually less of an issue of injury or whatnot, because even when the Liverpool fans will tell you it's that Van Dijk was injured and so on and so forth, and that's why they're doing so poor. For me, that issue, the root of that problem goes a lot deeper, because even when Van Dijk was fit, didn't they lose? Was it 7? I can't remember. I think 7-0, 7-2, something like that. Against South, it was quite a while ago. Beginning of the season, I think against Southampton they lost 7-2 or something. So even when he was fit, it wasn't just a flash on the pan. It's a symptom of hunger, lack of desire, and that's really the big thing. For me, is that they are struggling right now to get. They're right now struggling for me to get back to that same hunger, that same desire. Which, luckily enough, Bayern, that's not the case necessarily. We'll get to that in another time. But 1 second. But let's talk a little bit about the PSG and Barcelona game, aka PSG, aka Mbappe, aka Messi. Is that his final game at home at the Camp Nou? Difficult to say. Difficult to say. Very difficult to say because, quite frankly, we don't know what his future holds. We don't know what his future holds. Now, for me, the big issue with Messi is, and that was the same issue I had last season, it's the same issue I have with Messi in La Liga, if I'm being completely honest. For me, I think I've said this plenty of times, Messi to me is the greatest footballer of all time. The GOAT, if you want, the greatest of all time, alright? For me, that much is clear, right? But that doesn't mean I'm not going to criticize him. That's the one thing people, Messi fanboys will get mad at this video. Oh my goodness, I can already see it, but who cares? So, let's talk about Messi a little bit. Scores a penalty, okay, cool. Set up some nice chances as well, okay, cool. He walks around too much. He is so disinterested with football, and I noticed that last season, I noticed that in La Liga this season as well, and, you know, you could make the argument, well, he wanted to leave, so that's why he kind of looks disinterested, but, like, this is a Champions League game. This is a Champions League game. I had the same issue last season against us as well. Obviously, I was like, I don't give a damn. We beat them 8-2, but, like, it's just looking at Messi himself, right? Messi walks to it, and the Messi fanboys in Barcelona, like, well, not even Barcelona fans, I'd say Messi fanboys first, Barcelona fans second, right? Let's make that clear distinction. They will tell you, well, Messi needs to walk around, right? He is. How old is Messi? Messi age.
According to Wikipedia, Lionel Andrew.
How old is Messi?
He's 33 years old.
But Messi fans will tell you, oh, well, he's 33 years old. He needs to conserve his energy. I'll tell you this, right? How old is Lewandowski?
Robert Lewandowski is 32 years old.
How old is Thomas Müller?
Thomas Müller is 31 years old.
Okay, not quite. Well, you get the point I think I'm getting towards, right? Messi is lazy. And that's it. He is lazy. He may be the most talented footballer and, indeed, the best footballer. I don't think it's a lack of hunger with Messi because he was born in an environment where you constantly win. You know, that's the opposite of Liverpool. Like, Liverpool, they've only recently come to this point, which is why I don't feel like they have this continuous hunger where you go again next season. They might say that, they might say that out loud in public, but they don't have the, I don't want to say the history, because obviously, historically, Liverpool is a very big club, but I'm talking about, like, recent history, like I'm talking about players in that club that have won titles year in, year out. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Messi has that experience his whole career. For me, he's just lazy. He's either fed up or he's lazy. I don't know which one is worse. If he's fed up, I don't think him moving to, say, Barcelona. If he goes to Barcelona and he performs like that, will Pep bench him? Pep talks a lot. Pep talks a big game, right? He talks a big game because he always says, oh, the only player that doesn't have to do he said that before, the only player that doesn't have to do what I tell him is Messi. To me, that's iffy. If he goes to PSG, if Messi goes to PSG, right? I don't know. I don't know where any manager would have the guts to, like, bench Messi. But if I was the manager, I would. I'm going to be honest. Maybe the greatest player of all time, in my opinion, he is. You all know my whole thing. I think players from every era are significantly better than the previous one because football continuously develops, improves, so on and so forth. So that's why I always think that the next generation is always better than the previous generation. It's just a natural progression of sports science, football, the development of tactics, the improvement of individuals, the use of stats, the use of what's it called? What's that program called? The use of, I want to say Instat, where you can literally, like, see your weaknesses, written by professional scouts. You have all these kind of factors in there, right? You've got all these, YouTube as well. You can see how you play and what your favorite what your favorite shot is, what your favorite angle is, where you like to place it, so on and so forth. There's a lot of resources nowadays. There's a lot of things for players that weren't there in the past. All right, so, like, I think players nowadays are significantly better than they were in the past, and that's why I think Messi, who in my opinion is the greatest player right now, maybe not right now, but the greatest player, in the last couple of years, the last decade, he's automatically for me the best player of all time. But he's lazy, and I would drop him. If I was the manager, I would drop him. Because, yes, you may have all this talent. You may be able to be that good, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I need players that can run. Which is why, Bayern is never going to be interested in him. Not just because of his, astronomical wages, but also because of just him walking around, in a sense, So, you can't... You're essentially playing with 10 men until Messi gets on the ball. And Messi gets on the ball, you're playing with 12 men. But you can't be defending with 10 men at all times. Now let's stop talking about Messi, right? Because Messi, he'll probably get the headlines alongside this other player that I'm going to talk about. And that other player is Mbappe. Now I want to talk about PSG because PSG are aware, maybe still are, but they were, for me, the most entertaining side to watch this season. And I'm not talking about a footballing perspective. I'm talking about just a collapse perspective, right? At the beginning of the season, they were terrible. They were terrible. But that wasn't no fault of their own. They played the Champions League final, and then they literally started playing in the French league, Ligue 1, 3 or 4 weeks later. So they didn't really have any break. They literally just went from a big defeat right back into the league, and it was tipsy-turvy, right? They had 1 or 2 good games here, but besides that, they weren't good. Then came injuries plus COVID. Then came international break and more COVID. Then came the red card incident where I think it was 3 PSG players that got a red card, and it's we're out. You 3 PSG players suspended for 3 games straight, and you're like, bro, come on, man. How are we supposed to make any sort of run? So that happened. Then when the players came back, injuries. Then when the players came back, international games. Then when the players came back, Champions League. And then when the players came back, Tuchel sacked. And then when the players came back, Neymar injured. And now we're here right now against Barcelona. So PSG have been the most fun side to watch this season because of how the team is there's something new with them every single week. They don't play good football either. Like PSG this season have been playing awful football. Under Tuchel they played terrible. Under Pochettino they've had 1 good game so far too. Besides, before today. And today came their 2nd good game. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought Barcelona would smoke them today. I thought they would smoke them. Absolutely directly smoke them. How wrong I was. Because I thought Barcelona, they're finding their form. Yes, they're scoring goals against the bottom of La Liga. Teams that... Come on, who really cares if you're scoring 4 or 5 goals against them realistically? But you gotta be honest, right? Barcelona, you look at their attack, and it's just difficult. It's difficult to see past their attack because say what you want about their midfield, say what you want about their defense, their attack is good. And I thought, okay, this is at the Camp Nou. PSG, I think, will want to try and contain Barcelona. I don't think they're going to go all out, and I think them trying to play pragmatic, I think them trying to stay back, that's going to be their downfall. Psych. Mbappe said, oui. Un but. Okay. 2 buts. Okay. 3 buts. Okay. And he just came up and said, okay, I gotcha. Barcelona, I gotcha. I'm Mbappe, the Ninja Turtle. I gotcha. And that's basically all you got to see with Mbappe, right? Mbappe, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just came in, scored. 3 goals for the young... Parisian? Was he born in Paris? I think he was. So 3 goals for him. Amazing. What? By the way, what a pass from Verratti. I'm not Verratti's biggest fan. I have to admit, I think he's actually very much overrated. Yay. Yay. Look, that one game doesn't change my view on Verratti. That's not what's gonna happen, all right? But there are certain players that I just don't rate that highly for one reason or another, and a lot of the time it has little to do with their abilities, but more so to do with their consistency. Verratti on his day is amazing footballer. Another player that I don't rate as highly. By the way, if you haven't never read my description, you should read my description, right? My description, it says, I don't rate footballers based on their peak talent, but rather on their consistency. There's one line in my description which says something like, for me, Philipp Lahm will always be a better player than Zidane. Go click on my, it's been there for years, right? It's been there for years. Just a little insight on how I think. I'm not saying that because Lahm was the captain of Bayern. I'm saying that because of the consistency sense. Zidane was very inconsistent, whereas Lahm was super consistent. For me, consistency is everything. Verratti, not that consistent, which is why I don't rate him that highly, to be completely honest. I know a player that I don't rate that highly, despite the fact that they world-class talent, not talent, but a world-class player, Pogba. Another one of those players that I don't rate as highly as everyone else because, yes, he does have the talent. He does have amazing prowess on the ball, but he doesn't show that week in, week out, so I'm not going to rate him that highly. That's just the way I am. It's very, very simple. Now, here's the thing, right? Here is the thing. Mbappe has had a meh season so far, right? Struggled for a large part at the beginning of the season trying to score. Almost felt like, the Champions League crooks kind of had a stranglehold on him. No, that was seen today. Granted, the second leg is gonna be difficult, and not for PSG. It's gonna be difficult for Barcelona. Right, the second leg is gonna be difficult for Barcelona because I think PSG, I think they're smelling blood, and I think they want their blood. Now, here's one thing I'll say as well: Griezmann, my goodness, Antoine Griezmann. All right, what he's coming out with after the game, what he's saying after the game is just absolutely ridiculous. He's basically saying, "Oh man, I'm so happy for Mbappe. He did so well, amazing." Like, bro, if a Bayern player after a game came out and said, "Yo, I'm so happy that this player scored 3 goals," ooh, my goodness, that is kind of embarrassing. I wouldn't want to be I hate to be, okay, no, that's last season. Let's not talk about last season anymore. We're not in last season. It's not 2020 anymore. It's 2021. It's a new season, and those past season's achievement can't be used for current season's glory talk. So, but if I would hate to be a Barcelona fan. Stop. Barcelona's in a rut. I don't know what they're gonna do. For me, they're very much treading on the path of a Manchester United or a AC Milan, like a former good team that is now trying. Granted, AC Milan, they're doing relatively well this season, but like they're not anywhere near the giants that they were in the past. Manchester United, then not even comparable. Like Manchester United in the past, when you came up against them, you're like, oh, okay, this could be a difficult game. If we were to come up against Manchester United today, I'd be like, bro, come on, 7-0 in first leg alone. Come on now, let's get rid of these English farmers. These English windmill merchants. Nah, okay, I'm joking. I'm having a little bit of fun today, if you can't tell. But like, Barcelona is, for me, treading on the same path of irrelevancy. Now, the thing is this, right? Barcelona is huge because they were the team that kind of built an era in the early 2000s, not early 2000s, but like late 2000s, in like the 2000. You could say 2006 to 2011 era. I would, honestly, personally, I would say probably the 2009 to 2012. I think their era pretty much died 2012 with their game against Chelsea. But really 2013, when they got dismantled by us. Barcelona fans to this day make excuses about those 2 legs, which I don't understand. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, like, for me, that era ended back then, but they made an era at exactly the right moment, which was the moment just before the South African World Cup and during the South African World Cup, and just after we had this huge push into HD football. Like, HD football existed in 2002 already, but like, it was around that 2006 to 2010 to 2000 12, that kind of that little era where Spain really dominated, where you had that big push into HD football, where we had the internet really kicking off. So their fan base, because they were so successful during that time, their fan base really, really grew very, very quickly. Which is why, you look at, for example, someone like Juventus. Juventus, they've had some successful years in their past reasons, but their fan base isn't growing at the same rate that, Barcelona was during that time. You look at us, our fan base isn't growing at that same rate. And a lot of that has to do with obviously the marketing. You have Messi in your team. You have such remarkable players. And back then, you obviously had the hype of El Clasico versus you had the hype of the El Clasico, Barcelona versus Real Madrid, so on and so forth. So you had that whole marketing play going on, which is why the fan base has grown so huge. But the thing is, a huge fan base, once Messi is gone, they're gonna lose so much revenue. They're gonna lose so many shirt sales that it's gonna be ridiculous, right? People are probably gonna try and get like a Barcelona shirt before Messi leaves. I think I'm gonna try and get one. I haven't gotten one. I always wanted to get one. Just never have. So I'm probably gonna get myself a Messi shirt. Because again, iconic. Into 30 years down the line, I want to say, yeah, this Messi. But like once Messi leaves, it's over. I really do feel like it's over. Barcelona, they're in so much financial. They're in such big financial hole that. Unless they get an investor, I can't see them get out of this, honestly. And Barcelona, obviously, they have a whole structure, so they can't just get an investor in. So they're gonna have to make some massive sales. And you really have to wonder, like, how are they gonna get out of this? Like, how are they gonna get out of it? Now, here's the thing, right? Here's my issue in a sense, and my issue is Bayern. This should be these next 10 years should be the era of Bayern. I know kind of swift a little bit here, but just hear me out, right? I was doing, I probably won't find it anymore, but I was doing some, I did some, I want to say maths, but not really maths. I've just gone through like some of the history, all right, of like Bayern in this past decade, because Bayern have obviously been very, very successful in this past. Now let me try and find it, because Bayern have been very, very, very successful in the past. Now you may say, well, what do you mean very successful? We won a Champions League in 2020 and 2013, but if you actually look at everything else as well, if I can find it, we have been all right, let me just go off the memory then, if since I can't seem to there we go, found it. So we were we were really monsters in the last decade. So Champions League final 2010, 2012, won it in 2013, three semi-final appearances in 2014, 2015, 2016, quarterfinals 2017, semi-finals 2018, round of 16 2019, and the win in 2020. So you put all of that combined, right? Like we've basically been I would say. It's difficult to say this, but probably the second most dominant team in these past 10 years. Obviously, the first being Real Madrid. Now, we can really shape an era here because Barcelona, I fear for them once Messi leaves. PSG, I still don't see them as good. They don't have the manager that they don't have a manager that I consider good. I consider great. Let's leave it great. Or world class. They don't have that. They don't have a squad that I consider. They have some good players, yes, but the squad, no bueno. Real Madrid, they're in their own mess right now. They're honestly in their own mess right now. With this. Look, they have a lot of issues because they have so many players that are at a certain age and they don't have any money. So if you don't have money, and you've got players that are about to retire or near retiring, that's when you have issues, So you have all these factors, all right? You've got all these factors, and at least in the early 2020s, at least in like the next 3-4 years, there are not that many teams that I'm... Now, granted, a transfer window can do a lot of things, but because of the whole situation right now in football, with the lack of funds, the lack of money, because of no fans, due to COVID, so on and so forth, you really have to think, is any team that isn't settled going to be strong? At least in the immediate future. So I think if Bayern can really kickstart these next 3 years or so, then we could really have like a lasting legacy. And I actually think Bayern being dominant, as dominant as they are currently, is actually very much similar to the Barcelona era of being as dominant as they were during the 2000 and whenever you want to start 2000, I'd say, let's say 2008 to 2013, that spell. If Bayern can be dominant for like 5 years, from like 2020 to say 2025, you're gonna see the Bayern fan base grow, I would say, almost like tenfold. A lot of you might say, well, Volks fans, glory hunters, people only start watching Bayern because they keep winning. That is a factor, but with the whole situation, with Corona, with lockdowns, with quarantine, so on and so forth, people turn to entertainment, and people that might never have watched football will now start watching football. And if they see this team constantly win, they may watch them more. If Bayern starts playing good football and they see that, they may be like, what, I like how they're playing football, I want to see more of them, and then they might naturally gravitate towards Bayern. So like, this is a very similar. Obviously, I don't hope the lockdown is going to take 5 years. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that people's lives have been altered by quite a bit. So like, being dominant in this period of time is gonna really help grow the club, not just in a sporting aspect, but also financially and also in terms of its viewer base. One issue I do have with like the growth is, I know we're kind of deviating from everything right now, but one thing that I do think is limiting the growth is actually the Bundesliga YouTube channel. As crazy as it sounds, I love the Bundesliga YouTube channel, I'll be completely honest. I like the highlights, I like the special videos that they make, but the one thing that I think is really holding it back is the fact that they're not allowing people to really make highlights of the clips. Like, there are some ways around, like, but it's difficult, right? Videos get blocked. You use any Bundesliga footage for like more than 10 seconds, the video gets blocked. There are some ways around it with some clever editing, but like, a lot of the time it's not worth it. The thing that makes it Barcelona, Real Madrid, such big names during that like 2010 YouTube era, is because you'd go on YouTube and you'd see Lionel Messi compilations week in, week out that wouldn't get blocked. You'd see Barcelona, the art of tiki-taka. You see Real Madrid, fastest counter-attacks. So you'd see these kind of videos every single day. There'd be a new one every... I quite enjoyed them, different being completely honest, but there'd be new video every single... It's even to this day, still, but you'd see new videos every single day. You don't really have that with the Bundesliga because of the content restrictions. You don't have that. You look at the Premier League. Now, the Premier League has the added bonus of obviously being an English-speaking league, but they also are not as strict with the copyright. So, like, you have these factors, and I feel like those factors help tremendously. So, you kind of need, I think, another factor you need is like the Bundesliga to like ease off a little bit in terms of its restrictions on its contents. I'm not saying that because I want to bring back tactical insights, what did I call them before in the past? Tactical analysis? I'm not sure. I made like 4. Is that like a... No, never mind. I made like 4 of them in the past. One was of like a Champions League game, 3 were a Bundesliga game. Guess which one is the only one that's still on the channel? The Champions League game, because all the other ones were taken down. Yeah. Anyway, PSG, you could say remontada, but I think they are pretty much through. All right, I think they're pretty much through. I don't see any hope for Barcelona. Barcelona to me is as good as out. Who's playing tomorrow? Let's do a little preview as well, I guess, here at the end. Let me have a quick look. No. Wrong side. Porto, Juventus, and Sevilla vs. Dortmund. I would have said Dortmund wins. But you know what? I'm not gonna say that. You know what? I'm not gonna say that because Dortmund are bottless. They're a Bundesliga club, right? a Bundesliga club is going to bottle it. They're going to bottle it because that's what they do. That's what they do. If you're not Bayern and you're a Bundesliga club, you're going to bottle it. Dortmund will probably lead 1-0, or 2-0 until the 80th minute, and then they'll concede 2 goals in the last minute, and it's a 2-2 draw or whatever. It's going to be some stupid thing like that, as it always is. Now, here's what I would like to see in the Dortmund game. I would like to see Dortmund play a 4-4-2. I think every Dortmund fan wants to see Dortmund play a 4-4-2, but that's not happening. Tazik is not doing that at all. So I was expecting them to play 4-4-2 in the last game with Haaland and Moukoko up front. They didn't do that. Look how poor. I'll give Kej one credit, and that is the fact that he actually benched Royce. Royce has been awful this season for Dortmund, and he's still being played week in, week out. Now, that was like the one time he was dropped last game, but that's not good enough for me. You can't just keep relying on bringing Moukoko on in like the 65th, 70th minute and hoping that he does something, because he does something, but like his link-up play with Haaland especially is very, very good, and the fact that you're not starting them together is just almost criminal, honestly. Like, if it's not like, you'd think because it's not working for them at all in the league that they would try it, but no, apparently not. Look, normally I would have gone with Dortmund. I'll be completely honest. I would have gone with Dortmund winning this one 3-1 if they played both Moukoko and Haaland up front. And if they do start with both of them, I will stick with that. I'll stay 3-1. All right. But I think my take on Moukoko is very much established. I've been waiting for Germany to have a striker for years and years, because I've been. I remember this actually. I've been criticised in the past. Let's leave it at criticised. Let's just leave it at criticised. I've been criticised in the past. I like being proven right, because I'm always right. All right, it's just a fact of life. Sometimes it takes a lot longer for people to realise how right I am. But I've been criticised in the past, with some rude words sprinkled in between. People were saying, I was saying, Werner is not a striker. He's not good enough to be the main striker for Germany. You don't know what you're talking about. How could you say that? I did not say Werner does not know how to play football. I did not say Werner should not play for the national team. I said he's not the striker. He's not the striker. He's not the striker, right? For a team like Germany that has historically had some of the finest strikers out there, for them not to have anyone, for them to rely on Timo Werner, that's a disgrace. Loser. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a loser. How right does it feel now? How right does it feel now? Oh, that's my smug face. That's my absolute smug face, alright? That's my absolute smug face. Smug. That's what I am. I'm very smug. I like being proven right, because I'm always right. Now, I've been waiting for Moukoko. I didn't want to hype Moukoko up, right? Because I was like, okay, youth league. We've seen plenty of these players that like do very well in youth league, so on and so forth. It's just, we've heard it all before. What I like about him is that he says, hey, I'm a young brat. I'm a young brat, right? He's had this whole pressure on him from a young age, where it's like, is this kid, is he really 14? Is he really 13? Is he really 15? Is he really 16? Now you look at him, you're like, yeah, this kid is definitely like 2 heads smaller than everyone else on the field. Man, maybe he is 16, yeah? Honestly, those discussions were the most ridiculous, because if you actually watch him play in the youth league, you would actually see, well, this guy, he might be 3 years younger and scoring 50 goals a season, 60 goals a season, 70 goals a season, but like he's definitely like 2 heads smaller than everyone else. It's not like he relied on his physicality as well. It's just like good movement, good runs, and a good shot, and that's kind of what I want from a Germany striker. Now, the only thing I wish is that like he grows a little more, just so he can actually be a threat in the air. But that's actually also pissing me off a little bit with Dortmund. That, like, okay, you've got Haaland, but Haaland is also someone that likes to run off a player, drift off a player, get the ball and take a shot. Haaland, very good shot, drifts off player. Moukoko, quick, drifts off player, very good shot. What does Dortmund do? These two people who are not necessarily known for being great in the air, should we play the through ball so that they can then drift off their player and take a shot? Nah, let's just cross the ball into the box and hope they get their head to it. Like, nah, come on. If I was a Dortmund fan, I'd be furious. I'm going to be quite honest. But like, look, in all honesty, right? If Dortmund play with both Moukoko and Haaland, 4-2. Would be my prediction. I know Sevilla doesn't really concede that many goals, but my prediction would be a 4-2. If I'm being completely honest, a 4-2 would be my prediction for that, if they do play with those two. So, that's the first thing I'm going to say. If they don't start with both of them, my prediction gets a lot easier. 3-0 victory to Sevilla. Dortmund will get overrun. They will get overrun. That's just a fact of life. Now, Porto versus Juventus. Is anyone giving Porto a chance? Like, honestly, is anyone giving Porto a chance? I feel like Juventus are obviously the overwhelming favourites here. But, I must say, let me come completely honest here, Juventus won. There is no but, alright? There is none. Porto, they're not winning against Juventus. I know that they're at home. They may, like, a 1-1. Juventus haven't even been that great this season. Like, currently Inter's leading Serie A with, I think, Milan just behind them, and then Atlanta, or is it Atlanta in second and then Milan? But, like, Juventus are, like, in fourth. They're, like, 10 points behind Inter. So, like, they're not going to win Serie A. I know people will say, well, they're still going to win Serie A. Come on. No, they're not going to win. Like, I don't want to throw shade. I don't want to throw shade at former legendary players. I'm not going to do that, right? But, like, without mentioning names, with the manager, with Juventus' manager, Porto have a good chance. Porto have a good chance. And that's all I'm going to say. Now, I kind of like how Juventus are currently playing with the... Actually, is Cuadrado fit? I'm not sure. You know, I was going to say, I like how they're playing with, like, their wingbacks. The wingbacks have been very, very good in Alessandro and Cuadrado, but their team hasn't been good. Their midfield is lacking. Their attack is lacking. Their defense is lacking. The whole team is lacking. And that's just kind of how it is with Juventus at the moment. They're just not a well-oiled team. They're not a good team at the moment. They still have good individual players, but they're not a good team. And that's why I actually think Porto, this is basically Porto's best chance. Now, Porto's playing at home. So I should be saying, now, you know what, Porto, do it. 2-1 victory. And I really want to say 2-1 victory. I really do. But I don't see Juventus only scoring one. This is Champions League, right? Look, forget league form. For as bad as Juventus are in the league, for as bad as Juventus are in the cup, for as bad as Juventus are everywhere else, it is Champions League. They have one player in their team who has missed the Champions League. Who basically, whenever he hears the anthem there, these are the champions. Whenever he hears that anthem, right, steps up on the pitch. Whenever it's a knockout game, steps up on the pitch. Whenever it's a team, look, I'm not gonna throw a shade at you at Porto, but whenever it's a team that isn't of the highest caliber, they've got a player that likes to likes to score exquisite goals. You all know who I'm talking. I'm talking about Ronaldo, all right? Ronaldo, whenever it's a knockout game, he scores. He missed the Champions League, all right? So I'm sorry, Porto. Like, I really want to say that you win this, but you're up against Cristiano Ronaldo in a Champions League knockout game. You know, so you might score three. Look, Porto, you may score 3 goals. I don't see that happening, right? I'm going to be completely honest. You need to score 5 goals to go through. 5 goals in each game to go through. Otherwise, I'm sorry. Ronaldo is scoring. He's scoring 3 goals tomorrow. He's scoring a hat-trick tomorrow. He saw Mbappe scored a hat-trick today, and he's like, He's getting all the highlights today. Messi's getting all the highlights today. They're both in the news. No. I am going to go on the pitch tomorrow, and I am going to score 3 goals. You know what? Ronaldo tomorrow, he'll score 4 goals because he saw Mbappe score 3 goals today, and he's like, no. Tomorrow, I will score 4 goals. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to score 4 goals against Porto. People will call him the greatest player of all time. He'll be in the newspapers all day, all week. And Mbappe, there'll be a headline somewhere, probably in France, most likely, that'll be like, Mbappe or Ronaldo. Ooh, and you just have them both clashing like, and Messi just in the side like, you'll probably have some sort of headline like that in the newspapers, because that's kind of what Ronaldo's all about. He saw Mbappe. Mark my words, right? He saw Mbappe score those 3 goals versus Barcelona today. He was like, no, 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 no. I'm scoring 4 tomorrow. I'm scoring 4 tomorrow. So that's exactly what he's going to do. He's scoring 4 goals against Porto. That's all I'm going to have to tell you, right? Porto, I'm sorry, but it's not even your own fault, right? It's not even your own fault. Blame Mbappe. If you lose tomorrow, say 5-0, and Ronaldo has scored a hat-trick or 4 goals, blame Mbappe, all right? It's not your own fault. It's just Mbappe. I'm sorry. It is just Mbappe. Ronaldo, you know it's written. It is written. Ronaldo going back to Portugal one day after Mbappe scored a hat-trick. And everyone is now in Messi's case. Messi. Look how lazy he is. Oh, let's Messi this, Messi that. You know damn well. Alright, we all know damn well. Ronaldo tomorrow, he's like... You know, Ronaldo and his fanboys are waiting. You know damn well that he's scoring either 3 goals or 4 goals tomorrow. That's a fact of life. Put money on. Put your mortgage on that, because you're coming out with a victory on that. All right, that's a free tip from me. That is a free tip from me. I'm telling you that, right? Whatever the odds are, trust me, it's a guaranteed winner. Don't come back if it fails, but it's a guaranteed winner. All right, it's a guaranteed winner that Ronaldo tomorrow will score either 3 goals or 4 goals. Ronaldo to score 3+ goals. That you should put your money on. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, but look, Porto, I feel sorry for you. Any other time, you probably would have won because of how bad Juventus are. If Mbappe didn't score 3 goals today, and if there weren't the headlines about Messi, how bad Messi was, you probably would have won tomorrow. But all these factors came together, and I just can't see you win now. It's not even your own fault, but I just can't see you win. It's just a fact of life. So that's my prediction for tomorrow. The best player in the world is going to play tomorrow, Mokoko. No, real talk though. Dortmund, if they do play with 2 strikers in front, I see great things in the future. If not, I see a disaster incoming. Porto, I see a disaster incoming. So that's my thoughts though on these games, on the 2 games that were played today, and the 2 games that will be played tomorrow. I'm on my break, so if you don't see me, for the next couple of days, weeks, that's why. That's why there was no video yesterday. It's just the fact of life. I'm taking about 5, maybe 6 weeks off. Maybe not that long. We'll see. I'll see even 2-3 weeks. But like I'm taking a few, let's say 20 days off, right? Shoot, I didn't realize. Well, interesting. I didn't realize that my birthday is in 2 days, or 3 days actually. But by the time this video is up, 2 days. So interesting. Completely time, dates, month, everything of that sort is completely out of my mind at the moment with everything that's going on. So it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Champions League is back. That's the good thing. Champions League is back. Champions League is fuego, and we have a lot of fuego games to look forward to. So let's see what the future holds for us, and I'll see all of you the next one. Now, I mentioned this already. I mentioned it right here, I guess, because it's kind of relevant. I might create a separate YouTube channel just to talk about other football games, kind of like I did to Champions League is a little bit different because I can do Champions League on here. It's not really off topic per se, but like in the future, I may create a separate YouTube channel where I'm just talking about all the other games that I'm watching. But a lot of them will be like irrelevant games. If I'm being completely honest, like it'll be like French second league games. Such as, for example, currently watching them quite a lot. Probably definitely not how you say the name, I'm sure, but just random discussions about these kind of games. If that's something that you're interested in, I might let you know in the future. If not, then so be it too. Besides that though, I will see all of you the next one, everyone. Until then, have a nice day. Please have a good week, day, month, year, and I'll see you all then.